Hey everyone, I'm Shelley, and today I'm here to do a book review on The Archived by Victoria Schwab. This book follows a girl named Mackenzie Bishop who is a keeper in the archive. The archive is sort of like a library for the dead, so instead of books on the shelves, we have sort of like a ghost, sort of like a soul of a person, but it's more towards like a carbon copy of a person that is made up of all their memories, and they are called histories. Sometimes these said histories wake up and try and escape into the real world, which is called the outer. Luckily though, there is a sort of borderline between the archive and the outer, and that is called the narrows, and that is where Mackenzie's job comes in. The keepers, they are there to patrol the narrows and basically hunt down all the escaped histories and bring them back into the archive before they can get into the real world. The story starts off with Mackenzie and her parents trying to move on with their lives after the death of Mackenzie's younger brother Ben, and they are moving into this apartment block which was once a hotel. She soon discovers that this old hotel has a lot of secrets inside it, secrets that are connected to the archive itself. The story follows her trying to deal with her new home and her family life, as well as an increase in escaped histories. She's also trying to uncover all the secrets that are connected to the hotel and the archive before the archive itself crumbles. My first initial thought after reading this book was that I absolutely loved it. It was something very different to what I'm really used to, and I like the ideas behind the story. I love the idea of the paranormal aspect of histories. I think that's really interesting because when you usually get something like this, it usually falls into the horror genre, but it wasn't in this case, and I thought that was really interesting. I also really love the setup of this world. I've often said that I'm not that much into high fantasy. I don't think I can get my head around that kind of stuff, but I really love magic realism and urban fantasy type stuff, so I thought this was really, really refreshing to read. One of my favorite things about this book were the characters. I thought Mackenzie as a protagonist was a pretty solid main character. I didn't find her as annoying as I usually do with a lot of female leads, so I really liked that aspect of her. I liked how she was strong, but not in a all talk and no action type of way. She was a very determined type of character. But because we got to see inside her head, we kind of got to see how much she was struggling with everything and her conflicts within herself. And so I thought that was really realistic. I also really love all the other characters in this book. There is my favorite character, which is Roland, who is a librarian, as well as a sort of mentor for Mackenzie. I just thought he was really interesting to read about, and in my head, he kind of reminds me of David Tennant as Doctor Who, so maybe that plays into it a little bit. And then we have the gothy, spiked hair, guyliner guy, Wesley. I can't remember his last name, but he was a pretty interesting character. I didn't think I would like him as much as I did towards the end of the book. Mostly probably because of my own experience, because when I was in high school I went through a goth phase and all my friends kind of looked like him, so I think that scarred me for life. But I really enjoyed his character. I think he had a lot of depth. I would have loved to see more of that, but maybe there'll be more coming in the second book. There is also the character Owen, who is a history but doesn't really act like a history, and he's part of the reason why Mackenzie starts questioning everything about the archive. The other interesting thing about this novel is between certain paragraphs and certain chapters we get a sort of flashback type of deal of a younger Mackenzie and her interactions with her late grandfather, who was a keeper himself and so taught her and trained her everything about being one. One of the things I love about this is that it's written in second person, and I thought that was very effective for the reader to kind of understand why she's so determined to prove herself. Lastly, let's talk about the plot. I feel like this is one of those novels and one of those plots that is a very slow burning type of plot in meaning that it kind of builds and builds and builds until the end, where it's just a mind-blowing thing and everything comes together. I do have to admit, halfway through reading this, I was a little scared of how it was going to end, because I thought it was going to be very cliche and I thought there were going to be a lot of loose ends, but I'm happy to say that I was completely wrong and I loved the ending. I thought it was very true to the story, very true to the characters. I've often said that I'm not one to be really into series. I just can never get into them, or I can never finish them, and mostly because I feel like first books in series are just a lot of build up and it's very boring. But this is completely different, because I feel like this book can stand on its own. I mean, obviously I want to know more, and I know that there is going to be another story, there is another book, and I do want to read that, but I feel like this could probably stand on its own. So with that said, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So that is it from me today. If you guys have any comments at all, please leave them down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.